So good evening to all the wonderful people present over here. It's my pleasure to extend a cheerful welcome to you all and to introduce Mr. Achal Rangaswamy. A person of such stature doesn't require any introduction, but the code of conduct requires. So I'm going to introduce Mr. Achal Rangaswamy ji. Before that, please join me in giving our guest speaker of the evening the best of cordial welcome with a big round of applause. Mr. Achal Rangaswamy is a postgraduate from Delhi University and is an alumnus of the prestigious St. Stephen's College. Beginning his professional career in sales at Avri India Limited, Rangaswamy rose rapidly through the ranks and left his mark in various organizations like Xerox, Usha International, Amtrex Hitachi Air Conditioners, and finally Bell Ceramics Limited, where he rose from GM Marketing to President Marketing and Business Development, and where he did a stint of almost 18 years. Rangaswamy ji is an avid reader, a music lover, and a huge sports enthusiast. He makes time to blog on various subjects and is very active on social media. He has traveled over 250,000 kilometers on his Enfield Bullet motorcycle to understand India and Indians better. Don't you think this requires a big round of applause? He has penned 3 path-breaking books, Time is Money, Beyond the Uncharted Landscape, a career guidance book for youngsters, and Discovering the Joy of Selling, a book on why sales is such a noble profession. Rangaswamy ji is a recipient of the AMA Zydus Kerala Marketing Man of the Year Award, and he has trained over 13,500 people in the areas of sales, marketing, leadership, communication, and time management. Apart from being a corporate trainer and mentor to many professionals, he thoroughly enjoys visiting B schools to tell the youngsters on how to prepare for corporate life, which is why most youngsters prefer to call him by the name Coach. He loves to keep sharing his concept of awards, a movement for the restoration of dignity for salesperson, and his daily Rangaisms, a series of thought-provoking quotations and questions for young professionals. So today's topic is power of imaginations. You might have all heard about it. Watch your words when you are in a crowd and watch your thoughts when you are with your old self. So today it is all about watching your words and creating your dreams and fulfilling your dreams. So please welcome Mr. Rangaswamy ji to continue the session.
Thank you. Good evening. I am normally given to understand that some tea or some lemonade is served outside. Doesn't look like it. Good evening. Good evening. That makes it, when people don't show their energy or enthusiasm, और आज तो Saturday evening है, कल कुछ करना नहीं है. You know, in Ahmedabad we say thank God it's Saturday. In all the metros we say thank God it's Friday. Do you know why? In India we think we slog a lot. In India, we think we slog a lot. In the rest of the world, we know they slog a lot. I am pretty sarcastic about a few things. You know, when companies observe long weekends, I ask them to correct the spelling of weekend. Weekend W-E-E-K भी हो सकता है. Weekend W-E-A-K-E-N-E-D भी हो सकता है. So by the time Thursday arrives, I guess most people are weekend. In Mumbai, I can understand because you're so busy commuting. In Delhi, I can understand you're so busy getting stuck at one place between Gurugram and Delhi on the highway or, you know, at a toll booth or something like that. Ahmedabad में तो problem nothing है. At least as of now, except for some places where the metro digging up has taken place, we still are far better off. Anyway, I'm glad to see so many of you, and I'm glad to see so many old friends, so many new friends, so many young friends, so many very, very young friends, and so many young at heart friends. makes me feel very happy. But you could be doing, I always begin every talk of mine by thanking people for coming, because this is the best gift you can give anyone, the gift of your time. Nothing is more precious than that. Because you could have gone anywhere, and nowadays there are so many options available. There are plays, there are music concerts, there are movies, and there are biopics. You know, on the one hand, we make fun and we ridicule so-called terrorists. On the other hand, we pay 250 rupees to go and watch them in action, you know. I'm waiting because I'm sure the ticket will get cheaper over a week's time. So that I don't have to spend so much money. Okay, great. The power of imagination. To a lot of people, it sounds very simple. To a lot of people, it sounds cliched. You see, a lot of times, many of my gurus have told me, I don't know what you're going to talk about, but if you want to deliver a talk, always have two things. One, make the title sound absolutely exotic. People will come. And once they have come, the nimbu pani or the chai or the air conditioning will ensure that they stay here for an hour or so. The other is, you are well known for not saying anything useful except crack a few jokes. So they'll listen to your jokes. If they can tolerate your 140th forward on WhatsApp, which is what they do every day, they will surely tolerate your 65th joke for the 74th time. Actually, this has happened, you know, because people are so busy with forwards, and people are so busy with actually dunya ko thenga dikhana, you know, likes on Facebook and things like that. A friend of mine told me he went to the Aadhaar card center very recently. He had been sleeping for a long time, didn't get his Aadhaar card made. He finally went, and then he got himself photographed at that center. And true, like all Aadhaar cards, the photograph on the computer screen he saw, ekdam dacoit terrorist ki tarah lag raha tha. We all look like that. When I looked at my photograph, I was shocked. I know God hasn't been kind to me, but I didn't realize God has been a terrorist with me when I saw the Aadhaar card photograph. And then this guy was told, the young man there at that office said, अपना अंगूठा ये कांच पे लगाओ, हम इसको biometric बोलते हैं. So this guy put his thumb. He said, नहीं थोड़ा और जोर से लगाओ, impression नहीं आ रहा है. And then he pressed it more. He pressed it so hard that said, relax, hold on, don't press it so hard, it will break. He said, I can't help it, I can't see any impression on the screen. And the guy just looked at him and asked him, Facebook और WhatsApp पे बहुत active हो क्या? कि lines ही मिट गए हैं, you know. So when so many of you come here and are willing to spend an hour or an hour and a quarter keeping your mobile phone away, thank you very much. Putting it on silent mode if you can't switch it off, thank you very, very much. I really admire this, you know, because it's so difficult to live. People are managing without wives and without families, but not without mobiles, isn't it? All right, so the power of imagination. It actually happened today. I thought, okay, we've been talking about it for quite some time. Mr. Nair said, it brings me to the second point. Another guru of mine said, use a PPT. Now, I really couldn't understand. I said, what do you mean by a PPT? I visit a lot of B schools where PPT actually means a pre-placement talk. You know, where the HR manager comes and talks great things about his company, but never tells the youngsters what that company can do for that youngster. Which is what happens in sales also. Most salesmen go and say how their product is God's gift to humanity, but do not understand humanity. You know, so they make what is called a PPT, but then somebody clarified to me a PPT is a PowerPoint presentation. I said, okay, wow, great. He says, look, don't worry, even if you don't know how to do it, don't worry. As long as there is a lot of power in it, even if there is no point in it, you will survive. Because people will be impressed with all those colors and those animation, things like that. I do not have a PPT for you. Because I want to speak to you straight from the heart about something which I have seen happening. About 20 years back, I may not have believed in it. About 10 years back, I may have just got a whiff of it, some understanding of it. But this afternoon, something strange happened. I just got back very, very late in the night or early morning from a tour of business schools in Madhya Pradesh and Uttar Pradesh. Got in very, very late. I was feeling groggy in the morning, and I said, okay, I'll prepare for my talk in the afternoon. One of the days when I was almost unprepared. And as I sat down to write something, the clouds built up. And my first and foremost worry was, if it rains, who's going to come? If it rains, how will I reach AMA? And if it rains, I have a new competitor, Dal Vada. It's so much more attractive. It's so much more value for money. And it's so much more traditional and flavorsome, isn't it, than listening to Achal Rangaswamy. Some people, of course, do come because they find the Swami, the suffix in the name, and they think, okay, this morning I didn't listen to Astha channel or Sanskar channel, so let me listen to this guy. And the only Sanskar I know, in spite of 18 years in Baroda, people used to tell me, Sanskar Nagari che. Like, kya che Sanskar? I used to ask people. Until one day a friend of mine rang up and said, you know, it's raining terribly. It's raining terribly. Cars are being washed off. I rushed out of bed, opened my balcony window, and I peeped out. My son's car was safe. My son's car was intact. It hadn't moved in the water. It was grounded. And I said, finally, I found son's car. So anyway, I mean, Barodians shouldn't feel bad about it. So please don't go by the Swami in my name. I have nothing to offer. I have no tips. And I hate holding hands of people and showing them how to succeed. I don't do it. I only throw a few questions at people. And if they can understand those questions, first of all, whether I can understand those questions. If they're able to understand and find answers, good for them. If not, as I've jokingly started saying in recent times, 2 minutes silence for them. What else can I do? So it worked because suddenly the clouds cleared up. Suddenly the sky seemed to smile at me. And then I sat down to write. I said, I began with, it works. The power of imagination does work. I want to take you through some interesting stories. Some that I have read about, some that I've heard about, some that I've seen, and some that I've actually experienced. But to understand imagination, I think first of all of us need to go back in time. Can you tell me, when were we at our imaginative best? तो आप अभी क्या हो? आप भी childhood में ही हो अभी? My God, the way you said it. Oh, so this reminds me of that wonderful 10th. You know why 10th? A lot of people lisp. So are you in 10th? No, I'm in 10th. Betty, be comfortable. I got your point. Now this is wonderful. See, this exactly amplifies the point that I wanted to make. Earlier, when you would go to a beach resort or to a hill resort or somewhere in the warmer days, you would find a T-shirt with a text on it saying, I was born intelligent. Education ruined me. Now that's passive, that's obsolete, that's over. The latest Rangaism. You know what's a Rangaism? Some of you may be subscribers to it. Some of you are. I can see some faces of subscribers to Rangaism. A Rangaism is a morning suvichar that I share with people. Earlier it was free. It was on various social media platforms. But then a Gujju friend of mine said, free mein bhejta hai na, koi padhta nahi hai. Tu charge kar. Well, no, I don't want to charge people money for. No, I know you don't care for money, but तू 2 रुपया चार्ज करेगा पर रंगाइज्म लोग पढ़ेंगे क्योंकि तेरे को 2 रुपया दिया है उन्होंने आ गुजरात से. So I said, all right. So Rangaism is sent to various people who subscribe to it through their WhatsApp inbox or their Facebook inbox or email or whatever. So you remind me of one of my Rangaisms, where I wrote, we were all born happy, but one day we grew up. And now you put it very nicely. You gave it a date and you gave it a timeline also. 10th. 10th से पहले childhood. ये BC, AD वाला वो हो गया ना, before Christ and after Anno Domini or something like that. तो वैसे ही है. 10th से पहले खुश. So by that token, that little young lady there should be the happiest person in the auditorium. Give her a big hand. If she wasn't, she now is the happiest person in the auditorium. And I should be, yeah, going by my age, I should be one of the worst hit, traumatized old men in the world. And this happens. Why? Because we are so busy trying to do what the world thinks we should do or shouldn't do that we end up sacrificing happiness, which is closely linked to imagination. Kids don't know fear. Kids don't know sorrow. Kids don't know shame. Kids don't know anger of any kind. And then all these elements get built in, and that's when imagination starts taking a dip. Any kid thinks he can do whatever he wants to. And as you grow older, you start deciding, ये तो मुझसे नहीं होगा. And then there are enough people in the world, if you are not telling yourself, they are there to gratify you. ये तुमसे नहीं होगा. There are a lot of people who are going to tell you that. So the more you ask people, the more there are people who are going to tell you, you're not going to be able to do this. And if you ask me, असली मज़ा सबके साथ तो है ही. Now this is from television. They are going to ask me for a royalty. But असली मज़ा वो करने में है जो लोग कहते हैं कि आप नहीं कर सकते. Not because, and I'm going to clarify this a little later, not because you want to show somebody, not because you got a score to settle, not because you want to score brownie points, but because you get a wonderful feeling of fulfillment after having done something in life. So let's understand this thing about, actually I was hoping today that I would get the H.T. Parikh Hall to talk. I was hoping. I didn't imagine well enough. This is the other side of imagination. When you don't imagine well enough, what will probably not happen. That also happened. Reason being, today is the 7th of July, 2018, and exactly 6 years back, at this very time, between 6:40 and 6:50 p.m., the first big book that I wrote for youngsters, Beyond the Uncharted Landscape, was released at AMA by the managing director of Gujarat Cooperative Milk Marketing Federation and my good friend Rupinder Singh Sodhi, Amul. And it's a very special date, so this morning I dug out some old photographs of the book launch, the cover of my book, and I said, the book is 6 years old and making a lot of young people feel comforted and consoled that they're doing very well in life. So I was hoping that I would get the H.T. Parikh Hall, but I'll say, this is exactly where I was standing and this is exactly where the book was launched. So that's one thing. Coincidences also happen because or not because of imagination being properly utilized or not being properly utilized. But at the same time, this auditorium is also very close to my heart because this is where I delivered the first big lecture of mine, which was called The Power of Time. And I had my biggest worry, कौन आएगा टाइम के बारे में सुनने के लिए, because the standard गुज्जू answer will be, આવવાનું તો છે પણ time નથી. You know, so, but I was amazed and we had a full house. So the point that I'm trying to make is, start letting your mind, though I must clarify, and I'm going to do that a little later, that it's not just about wishing something to happen. Wish to all of us does. Every one of us does wish. In the year 1996, I bumped into a lady who was coming in from this side of the corridor. I was coming in from this side. There was a turning. I bumped into her. Whatever she was carrying fell on the floor. Whatever I was carrying fell on the floor. I looked at her, she looked at me, I looked into her eyes, and I couldn't help it. I had absolutely no idea what I was saying, and I told her, ma'am, I've been an admirer of your eyes all these years. Never had the opportunity to meet you, and I never thought I'd meet you like this. I told her something. वो दिन और आज का दिन, 1996 and 2018, ये सेल्स की भाषा में कई बार मैं लोगों को बताता हूँ, don't courier the engagement ring. That's the name of my next book, hopefully. Because if you courier the engagement ring or you email the proposal, the customer is not going to buy it. I'm still waiting for the email. Manisha Koirala has not replied yet. So I came back and told my wife. I mean, by then we had been married for many, many years. And I told her, I met Manisha Koirala. And she said, did you propose? I said, why did you ask? She said, you're a sales guy, you're incorrigible. You will go around proposing to everybody that you see in the hope कि तुमसे शादी नहीं करेंगे तो तुम्हारा टाइल तो खरीदेंगे. Because that is the product I used to sell those days. The point I'm trying to make is you don't only just wish, you actually probably will have to make things happen in your mind. Maybe the battle has to be won in the mind, then it is won on the paper, on the map, and then all the simulated geographical zones that they have in the military headquarters, and then finally your soldier goes and makes it happen on the front in enemy's territory when he does a surgical strike. I think I was a little overwhelmed when I wanted to share with you the first story. I was holding it back for a little while. The year 2009, this is a very interesting story. A corporate executive was leaving on a business trip. He had packed his bags and he was wheeling his trolley out of the house. The car was waiting downstairs and he needed to go to the airport to travel about a couple of hours to another town on a business trip. As he was walking past his family, he said bye-bye to his family. As he was walking past them, he heard his son ask his mother, which pair of jeans should I wear on my first day at this institute when I join? And his mother gave him some appropriate answer, that one. Stone washed, yeah, rock washed, yeah, whatever you have. And then he said, which bag? Because dad keeps using this bag, so I'll need to take another bag, I'll need to carry a lot of clothes, no? He said, don't worry, we have another one, or you can pick up a new one. That corporate executive had a sardonic smile on his face. He smirked because he knew in his heart of hearts what was really happening. He pulled his trolley down, went and put it into the car. The driver started the car, they left for the airport, and this man said, क्या बात कर रहे हैं दोनों? This guy has already got a message from the institute. You are number 5 on the wait list. Admissions have closed. Better luck next time. Anyway, he went away, traveled a couple of hours by flight, landed up in this other town, walked into the airport terminal, went to the luggage conveyor, and as he was pulling his luggage from the conveyor, his phone rang. He pulled out the phone. His son was on the line. And he said, Dad, I've got admission into this institute. And then he said, Dad, are you listening to me? I got admission into this institute. And they've asked me to come today. So what I'll do is I'll drive down. I'll take money from granddad and pay the fees. You can reimburse him when you come over the weekend because I think you're going to be away for the next 3 or 4 days. He got no response from the other side. He said, Dad, are you listening? Dad said, I'm listening, but I'm thunderstruck. How did this happen? And the son's reply, why are you weeping? I said, because I just couldn't believe it. How did this happen? Well, how did what happen? And Dad said, how did you get admission when you were waitlisted and had closed admission? The son said, I don't know about all that. Four days later, this man came back. He traveled to that town where his son's admission had been secured. He went and settled the fees with his father-in-law. Went and met his son on the campus and asked him, how did this happen? How did this miracle happen? And the son said, which miracle? He said, you got admission when admissions were closed. Again, the son's answer was, I don't know. I always thought I was going to that institute. All I wanted to make sure was, which bag am I carrying, which clothes, and what do I need to do in the next few days. My only little worry was, will I get accommodation on the campus, or because I am one of the last guys to get admission, would the hostel have been full by then, and I'll probably have to stay with my grandparents. The name of the institution is the National Institute of Design, Paladi, Ahmedabad. The name of that student is Achal Rangaswamy, and his father is standing talking to you about this particular thing. The father had all the apprehensions, doubts, all the obstacles in his mind. The son just didn't think about all that. All he kept thinking was, probably, who are going to be there? People I know, are they likely to be my classmates? There are going to be only 15 seats for any course at NIT. So I'll probably make new friends. And he was thinking about all those things. How did this happen? This is strange, you know. There's this book written by Mrs. Annie Besant. You must have heard of her. Member of the Theosophical Society, closely connected with the freedom struggle, and one of the founder members of the Indian National Congress. Mrs. Annie Besant wrote a small little book, a powerful book, called Your Thought Power. It is a collection of various speeches of hers, and Your Thought Power was nothing but what you probably today fashionably call the law of attraction or the power of visualization or something like that. Mrs. Annie Besant's book was offered to a publishing house for a re-edition and reprint and simplifying the languages, because English as it was spoken and written about 150 years back was a little tougher than the English we speak today. Youngsters have simplified it even now for us, because awesome is now O-S-S-U-M, and life is L-Y-F, and time is T-Y-M. Fortunately, I wrote time is money before these youngsters taught me this new English. So I wrote T-I-M-E. So anyway, Mrs. Besant's book was republished by a publisher called Maitreya, a lesser known publisher called Maitreya, the publishing house called Maitreya, run by a very, very little known publisher called Achal Rangaswamy. And the back cover of Your Thought Power carries the story of this young boy. And the last line is, if he can do it, so can you. All you need to do is imagine. So I think somewhere, the first story that I shared with you is a perfect example of someone not only wishing, visualizing, seeing himself go through it, seeing himself succeed, not seeing any kind of obstacle, and not even thinking negatively. This is one more thing I would like to emphasize in a little while. And then I realized that there are age-old stories. This is a contemporary story. I'm sure you all heard of the Buddha, Gautam Buddha. What was he originally? He was a prince. And what happened to him? He was disillusioned, he was lost, he was restless, and he was looking for something in life. So he went out looking probably for happiness or looking for a house where there was no sorrow, or that's what he asked someone to do later. But anyway, he was traveling all over the place, and one day he discovered knowledge. And he discovered knowledge sitting under a particular tree, and so he got that name because he was sitting under the Bodhi tree. So he achieved enlightenment and therefore got called the Buddha. There's this very interesting story. Some of my old friends may have got sick and tired of my sharing this story with them. in programs on leadership and teamwork. Because this amplifies this little thought that people come looking for people for knowledge without realizing that there is a lot of knowledge within them. The only thing is they aren't scratching beneath the surface. The Buddha was sitting under a tree. Some people came and said, sir, we are from your neighborhood. We live in a neighboring village. We are in the business, we are dairymen. We have cows and buffaloes, and we sell milk and milk products. तो आप आइए, आप तो दुनिया भर सफ़र करते हो, अलग अलग देशों में जाते हो, चीन जाते हो, जापान जाते हो, बर्मा जाते हो, कुछ दिन तो गुजारिए आपके नेबरहुड में. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? He is in the neighborhood right now. He is in Rajasthan. So anyway, so Buddha said, sure, I'll come. They were all milkmen, they were all businessmen, and good businessmen have been trained to ask for the order. So they said, let's close. So, kab aayenge aap? A typical salesperson question is, when? Can I have your acknowledgement now? He said, I'm a little busy this Saturday. With this Saturday evening, I'm talking to a lot of people on imagining things. I'll come next Saturday. Ladies and gentlemen, I just can't remain serious. So if you expect a serious sermon, please remember the Swami in my name is a pure coincidence. They waited for next Saturday. And one Saturday, the Buddha actually landed up in their village. As he came in, they welcomed him and took him to another tree, not the tree where he was known to be sitting. And they said, we know this is not the kind of tree you're comfortable with, but please be comfortable here. And we know you're going to give us Gyan. We know you're going to give us enlightenment. Can we give you our offering first? Because we know you're a bhikshuk. And a bhikshuk takes alms. He doesn't give anything free. He'll ask for something, we'll give you milk. So please give us that earthen pot of yours. So मिट्टी के बर्तन को बुद्ध ने ऑफर किया. And these people were about to pour milk into the earthen utensil when the village headman said, hold on, there is a lot of dust and dirt in the utensil. Please clean it. The villagers washed it, cleaned it dry, and made sure that the utensil was now in a condition to take the milk. And said, please fill the milk now. They filled the milk into the earthen pot. The Buddha got up and he started walking out of the village. The villagers ran after him and they said, come on, old man, keep your promise. We kept our promise. Give us what we want. The Buddha said, what? He said, ज्ञान दीजिए. बुद्ध ने घूम के बोला, ज्ञान दिया ना. पति की वार्ता. What was the ज्ञान? Absolutely, Gupta ji. Cleanse your utensil before absorbing something into it. Cleanse this or this, wherever you're going to absorb knowledge or wisdom or learning or whatever. Keep your mind open. Keep your mind blank. Keep your mind free of any thought. If you are going to immediately start comparing, doing tulna of what I'm saying with what someone else said last Friday or last Saturday, are you going to go back from here with something? I gave you this utensil so that you could cleanse it, because only then would the milk get absorbed or the milk would go rotten. And the same thing is going to happen with the knowledge anyone gives you, if you don't absorb it with an open mind. So I guess imagination also, if it gets interfered with certain other thoughts which are negative or something that pulls you down, naturally you are not likely to probably get the best out of it. That was an ancient story. Let me share with you a modern story on the same lines. There was a paratrooper. You know who a paratrooper is? A soldier who lands into enemy territory with the help of a parachute. This guy was a negative guy. He was a negative thinking person. Now, your question to me would be, then how the hell did he get selected in the army? Because the Indian armed forces, or for that matter, any armed forces, will never recruit a guy. The best thing about our soldiers is that they think positively even if the situation is pathetic. If you go and see how they live and how they work, we all live in great luxury. Now, they have such a mindset that they are prepared to live in whatever conditions that are offered to them. So how could you have a negative thinking paratrooper in the armed forces? Maybe at that time the HR department goofed, or the computer in the selection process developed some bug, or the psychometric test was wrongly administered, or something like that. He got in, he got his training, and on the last day of the training, the commander called all of them, there were 7 or 8 of them, and he said, you guys are now all ready to go on your first sortie. A sortie is a flying assignment with a specific goal. So, good luck to you guys. All I can say is it's going to be a very interesting exercise. The sergeant is going to explain to you. He handed over the pass to the sergeant. Sergeant said, okay guys, match your watches. Make sure all watches are set at the same time. Wonderful. I'm going to count 3 after we reach a particular altitude, and I'm going to ask you to jump. All of you jump. Once you've jumped, count 3. When you're in the air, count 3 and pull the right cord so that the parachute opens. लेकिन 1 minute, हम आपको एक बात बताना तो भूल ही गए. And he did not say after that कि हम इतना चाहते हैं कि आप बारातियों का स्वागत. What he said was, हम आपको ये बात बताना भूल ही गए कि ये कॉर्ड चाइना में बना है. कॉर्ड क्या है? पैराशूट ही चाइना में बना है. In the meanwhile, this negative thinking paratrooper was already, his head would always go this way, not this way. नहीं होगा, प्लेन टेक ऑफ नहीं होगा, घड़ियाँ मैच नहीं होंगी, सार्जेंट 3 गिलना भूल जाएंगे, हम में से कोई जंप नहीं मारेगा. He kept on telling all this to himself. And then the sergeant says, but relax, don't worry. So what if the right cord is a Chinese product? There is a left cord that was made in Batala by a Sardarji, and it works. अभी सरदार जी को भी नहीं मालूम कैसे बनाया है, लेकिन सरदार जी का बनाया इसलिए चलेगा. They will not care about measurements, this, that, angles, diagrams, but वो जो बनाएंगे वो चलेगा, क्योंकि सरदार जी जो बनाते वो चलता ही है. I mean, they are the only people who actually make us laugh. And they are the only people who can laugh at themselves. You try cracking a joke with a Tamilian, he'll hit you back. Why do you think I live in Ahmedabad? Of course, you need to be careful with Gujus also. You can't cross certain limits. But still, they can take a joke. But the only people who can actually take a joke are people who can write a joke book, Sardarjis. It takes Mr. Khushwant Singh to write a book on Sardars. I mean, that's how large-hearted they are. So he said, yes, khulega. But this fellow, mainu malum hai, nahi khulne wala, mainu pata hai. He kept on shaking his head. The sergeant said, all right, good luck. And the last thing, once you guys land in enemy territory nahi hai, ye to mock drill hai. It is in your own land, but usko enemy ka label dala hua hai. You land there, and once you've landed, there is a jeep coming from headquarters to pick you up and take you back. Good luck, guys, all the best. Have a wonderful sortie. Okay, 1, 2, 3, jump. Everybody jumped except our friend. The sergeant kicked him out of the aircraft. This man went sprawling in the air. And then he realized, "Arey, 3 गिरना है, 1, 2, 3." He pulled the cord. Cord China में बना था, क्यों खुलेगा? It didn't open. In desperation, he prayed and pulled the left cord. A spider came out along with a spider's web. एक मकड़ी और एक मकड़ी का जाल. Nothing else happened. And on his way down, the paratrooper says, मुझे मालूम है नीचे कोई जीप इंतजार नहीं कर रहा है. I told you, I never give answers. I only ask questions. What is it? What was funny about his last statement? Sorry? Ambulance? After falling from that height? Mr. Rahul Pethani, you are an optimist to the core. You will use your imagination very wisely, and you will probably convert the ambulance into a Dhirubhai Ambani hospital. Yeah, you're very close to it. Probably, jeep की जगह पर एक ambulance, एक dumper, एक tusker, एक wheelbarrow, or maybe something bigger, because those 206, how many bones do we have? Some 200 odd. 206? That's probably they're still intact. So those 206 bones must be scattered over a 2-kilometer radius. So you'll need some other kind of vehicle. तू क्यों सोच रहा है जीप होगा या ना होगा? I mean, this is the level of pessimism or realism, as you would like to take it. Again, so what does it highlight? You can use your imagination provided your mind is open, provided your mind is blank and you're willing to receive something. Otherwise, look at all of us just before an examination. We get into the exam hall. What are most of us doing? We have at least 2-3 notebooks open. And then we peep into the neighbor's notebook because कहीं वो ये तो नहीं पढ़ रहा है जो मैंने नहीं पढ़ा है. 1 or 2 minutes before the exam, what difference does it make? Why not keep your mind absolutely blank? Because you might just get some idea. कहते हैं ना, there is that ad, beautiful ad which says, जब life में हो आराम तो ideas आते हैं. And if you're not relaxed, even that idea is not going to get entertained. Living in this city is an international champion. Living in this city is a man who has won 7 world championships. But we, cricket obsessed, and now very fashionably recently, football obsessed people, आजकल सब football देखने लगे. क्यों? सारी दुनिया देख रही है. If I don't watch, fear of missing out, fear of losing out. Suddenly people have become football fans. People are even talking about countries they never heard of. Croatia. Earlier I thought Croatia was a drug that you took if you had a headache or something like that. No, that's probably because that's why they are probably taking interest. If India was there, they would principally not be interested because they wouldn't be interested in the principle, no? Because India would have been out very early. Sad. It's a far more popular game in the world. It's a far simpler, far less expensive, and far more interesting game where people are busy all the time. In cricket, you can be busy looking at someone beyond the boundary and then lose this eye the way I lost mine while missing a catch because you're looking at who is beyond mid-on. So this gentleman, by the way, who did I talk about? The 7 times world champion? Geet Sethi, billiards and snooker. Geet has always shared this story. And he's written this in his book, Success versus Joy. Padhna to ye sab padho dost. Read Geet Sethi's Success versus Joy. He says most people chase success and end up not remaining joyful. If you joyfully do something, you're likely to be getting to your goal much easier. But the story that he shares, because this little bit of cobwebs that I want to remove from the thought about imagination. A lot of people think imagination मतलब बस सोच लेना है. सिर्फ सोचने से नहीं होता है. I'll tell you what happened. There was this finals, and this finals was in Bangalore. And against him, at that point of time in that tournament, was one of the toughest players, someone who was in excellent form. Geet, in his heart of hearts, was thinking, this guy is going to do it. But anyway, he conditioned himself, and there was something about him. Whenever he would go and take part in a tournament, he would make sure that none of his family members would be sitting where he could see them. If at all, they would be seated behind him. They kept on playing. The game was going up and down. And then, over a period of time, his opponent took the lead. The game was almost gone. There was one shot left. I do not know the technical word, probably a cue or whatever. And prior to this tournament, this man had told, they were good friends. They're all international competitors are good friends actually. He told him, the prize money from this tournament is going to be used for a beautiful house that I want to build for my mother. And as he was taking his last shot, he started thinking about his mother, the house, and so many other things around that house. He missed the shot. Geet won. Geet says, I won the tournament, but my heart went out to this guy. He had it all mapped out. But probably what he did was, he only wished this thing to happen. He didn't make it happen in his mind. The only thing he should have probably told himself would have been, this shot should be the best shot of the day. Michael Jordan, the basketball champ, was asked, how many points haven't you scored in tournaments? And his answer was, each of those shots that I did not take. Because kya malum strike rate kya hota? I'm sure Virendra Sehwag can also say that. Each ball that I missed got me 6 runs less or 4 runs less. Is your mind geared at, you don't have to think beyond a very, very long distance. Is your next step clear? Are you using your imagination in such a way that the next step is not a hurdle or it's not a puddle? You can see your goal. It happened the other day. I was delivering a lecture at a cooperative bank. There were quite a few people talking. I finished mine, and there was a lunch break. I needed to get home. It was the Tamil New Year day. I had promised my wife I'd be home for lunch. And the other speaker who had finished was there downstairs. I said, okay, ma'am, very nice meeting you. Poor lady, she just came to say bye-bye, and she didn't notice that there was a step there. She tripped on that and fell. And then instead of going home for lunch, I needed to first take her for first aid and then drop her at home. So is that step clear in your head? Imagination अपनी जगह पर है. आप उसको एक-एक step में follow करते हैं कि नहीं? I think that's very important. Let me tell you the other story. Again, a sad story. I know this person, a young lady, has been a brilliant academic student. Decided at one stage, after 10th, suddenly became wise and sad. We all become sadder and wiser after 10th. So I hope you stay in 10th only all your life. I mean, with very good intention. No, mentally. उसके आगे मत जाना. आगे बढ़ते जाओ जिंदगी में, लेकिन अपना जो मूड और मोड जो है ना, वो 10th का ही रखना, या फिर मेरे जैसा बनना. I'll tell you that later. This young lady decided one day that she wants to be the best in a particular kind of a business. And she tried getting admission into a course that would train her to become this particular kind of a professional, this particular profession. And she used to tell me, I want to be the best because I know nobody else is worth it. And I'm going to show them. All these people have been telling all kinds of things about me. I'm going to show them. मैं दिखा दूंगी. And I used to wonder, why does she say this? Why doesn't she just say, I want to be the best designer. I want to be the best apparel designer. I want to be known the way a Ritu Beri or a Ritu Kumar is known. Or I look at them as idols, but I hope God gives me the confidence and the courage to take things a step ahead. Let me learn from them and make them feel proud. That's another way of saying it, isn't it? But she would always say, I want to show these people, and I'm going to show this guy, and I'm going to show that guy, and I'm going to show this guy. For the last 3 years, first of all, when she couldn't make the cut to any of the decent schools educating people in that particular line, she finally had to settle for a school whom she had bad-mouthed at the interview. And they were good enough, humble enough, helpful enough to give her admission there. Otherwise, today, any institution can turn around, go, बाकी लोग हैं ना तुम्हारा fees accept करने के लिए. It's so easy for someone to say this. So what I want to say here is, making your imagination work will probably have to make sure that there is no negative. You're not wanting to succeed to settle scores with somebody or to prove a point to somebody. Because now I'm going to talk to you about one of the most successful people. That's why I wanted to balance it, because imagination works both ways. You can imagine yourself getting into trouble. The paratrooper did it. You can imagine yourself getting all the knowledge, but with all the doubts. Because when the Buddha walked into the village, God knows how many people said, "Ye Buddha nahi, ye Buddha humko kya sikhayega?" Now, I face this very often, and I'm very sure when I walk into a B school to deliver a lecture, I'm very sure a lot of people was thinking, what's this guy going to do? He doesn't even look like a marketing guy. Probably because, I'm not dressed the way, what Nitin? Marketing people are supposed to be. Sergey Bubka. Heard of him? Who is Sergey Bubka? Absolutely. And what a wonderful pole vaulter. The world champion, the Olympic champion. A man who keeps literally raising the bar. Every time he jumps a little higher. Every time he breaks his own record. Every time he breaks the world record. Every time he breaks the Olympic record. Very, very successful. He makes pole vaulting look so simple when he goes over the bar. Journalists asked him, what is it that makes you clear the bar every time? You never get stuck. Okay, then you try to do something impossible, then okay, that's where it ends, but you're able to clear it by a good distance every time. How does it happen? How come your foot doesn't get entangled with the bar? Sergey Bubka's answer was, which foot? Which bar? When I dream, when I think, we pole vaulters don't keep pole vaulting all day. Sachin Tendulkar doesn't bat all day, except when he's playing a test match. Then he needs to bat all day. Athletes, Carl Lewis was not sprinting all day. There would be days of rest, there would be days of mental work, there would be days of strength building or cardio workouts. You do lots of things to ensure that you peak. There's a lovely phrase, you peak at the right time. So Sergey Bubka says, we pole vaulters don't pole vault all day. There are days when we just sit and we meditate. There are days where we just sit and we take notes. There are days when we sit and plan. There are days when we say, this is what I did. You know, good Olympians in the heats or in the qualifiers don't run their fastest. All they need to do is to qualify. And when the finals takes place, that's where they give it their very best. So he says, even when we are rehearsing, even when we are taking notes, even when we are dreaming, even when we are visualizing, even when we are thinking, I sail over the bar. My body goes over the bar. So I was telling a bunch of youngsters in Bangalore the other day. Bangalore is famous for its pubs, isn't it? So I was telling a bunch of youngsters, they are milk sellers. I had gone to train them at the National Dairy Development Board, but in the evening they said that they didn't want to drink milk in the evening. So they were going out somewhere, and I said, please, when you go to the bar, try raising it. I think some of them got it. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is, Sergey Bubka keeps raising the bar, and his mind, and then his body, his head, his neck, his back, his torso, his trunk, his legs, his foot, everything goes over the bar. He mentally wills himself to go over the bar. Which bar do you see in your life, and how do you visualize going over that bar? Probably you need to do the same thing. First, your head goes over the bar. Then your neck goes over the bar. It's so easy for the neck to drop, no? In sorrow, in worry, in apprehension. And then chest. Why? Because that's where pride is. And then in your hands, because you make things happen. And ultimately in your legs, because ultimately if you need to get up to do something in life, you need your legs to make it happen. So Sergey Bubka is probably an excellent example of that. Again, it's not about wishing it. It's not about just thinking about it. It's not about just saying, "Main ye karunga." First on paper, then by hands, finally the feet. Till then, the mind has to remain open. The other day, we were a bunch of sales guys from a computer company. And I said, "Kya yaar tum log 256 KB RAM, 720 KB Lakshman, पता नहीं क्या क्या बोलते हो तुम, ये फीचर्स की बात मत करो, बेनिफिट्स की बात करो." So this is my standard stereotyped dialogues from sales programs. And then said, would you like to treat your mind like a RAM or like a ROM? There are people who are very proud. मुझे इतने टेलीफोन नंबर्स याद हैं. Very good. तो उससे क्या होने वाला है? नहीं, जिस दिन मेरा मोबाइल फ़ोन का बैटरी डाउन हो जाएगा, मुझे चिंता करने की बात नहीं. अच्छा, इस आदमी को तुम कितनी बार फ़ोन करते हो? हाँ, महीने में एक बार. तो क्या माइंड में कुछ और रखना चाहोगे? Something more positive, something more enriching. So if your mind is blank, we have too many things in our mind. The mind is a chattering monkey. And the latest thing that I've heard now, this scared me, and this scares every youngster who I talk to who makes presentations for various kinds of audiences, recruiters, customers, partners, government agencies, angel investors. You know, otherwise where will you get Red Bull because it gives you energy, or wings? Where are you going to get angel investors if you can't make a proper presentation to them? And the piece of information that I got was a latest study on people's attention span says that the average human being's attention span is only 22 seconds. So if you're continuing to listen to me even now, I congratulate you for having a wonderful attention span, or I'll probably go home and silently congratulate myself that I held your attention. Now, if that is so, and if you need to absorb something and your attention span is going to wander in 22 seconds, how clean and clear, I'm not talking about a shampoo, an anti-dandruff shampoo, how clean and clear should your mind be? Think about it. Please don't allow worries, issues, problems, obstacles to reside in your mind rent-free. And this is what we do. Our mind is wandering all the time. हम यहाँ हैं, लेकिन actually हम कहीं और हैं. Okay. Maybe a small tip on how to make this happen. I've tried it. It has worked with me. I want to share it with you. Generally, the kind of profession that I have been in, one is required to be physically very fit, have a lot of stamina, a lot of traveling involved. I stand for 8 hours and deliver training. If I sit down, I lose the audience's attention. So I stand. And I train 34 days a month. No, there are some days where there are 2 programs, you see. So it adds up to 34. So now, how do I? Well, the first thing I did was, ma'am asked me, because she met me after 4 years, and she said, you lost a lot of weight. I said, I had to. I need to carry less weight. The lesser weight I carry, the easier it is on my feet. So one of the things which I didn't tell her at that time, I thought I would tell now is, I have never told myself, I won't fall ill. I've always told myself, I will stay healthy. When I used to be a head of sales and marketing in a manufacturing company, I used to lose my cool, like all heads of sales and marketing. Mr. Sanghvi will agree with me, because our careers have moved more or less the same way, and our patience would be tested, our temper would be tested, and we'll be going absolutely bonkers trying to achieve those sales figures or those bottom line targets. But there came a stage in my life when I started telling myself, I wouldn't tell myself, I'm not going to lose my temper. I would say, I'll keep my cool, I'll stay calm. ये आप लोगों को लगता है फेसबुक पे अभी आता है, be calm. वो हमारे टाइम का है, be calm and do some calm. It's as old as that. So, can you tell yourself, I am going to be more confident, rather than say, I'm not going to be nervous? And so one of the things that I learned, a friend of mine has her birthday today. She reads all my books. So I wished her. She said, sir, I'm in Amritsar. I said, so please pray on my behalf. So what do you want me to pray for you? I said, yeah, I'm very nervous. I have this talk in the evening. She says, you nervous? I said, you have no idea. There are butterflies in my stomach. Her answer was, but you know how to make those butterflies fly in formation. And so, can you tell yourself, even if there are butterflies in my stomach, I'll know how to make them fly. Or in my time management programs, I tell people, time flies, bad news. Time flies. Good news, you are the pilot. So, can you start? Do you promise me that at least once in a while, instead of saying, I'm not going to shout at my son. Say, I'll be patient with my son to begin with. And don't say, I'll become a patient because of my son. No. I think somewhere, if you start telling yourself, you're going to give room, you're going to give breadth for more positive thoughts to enter your mind, so that you can make your imagination work. One very interesting example from I'll finish in 5-6 minutes. My idol, a person whom actually 2 people, both of them are excellent examples of positivity, but this particular example is about someone whom I admire not only as a great professional in his business, but as a great human being. Funny for a sales and marketing professional to talk about someone from the field of music. The legendary playback singer, Mohammad Rafi Sahab. Now, Rafi Sahab was a man of few words. Everybody knows it. In fact, his interviews were pathetic. He would speak in monosyllables. Nobody enjoyed interviewing him, which is why you have very few clips of his on YouTube. Kishore Kumar was far more enthusiastic, far more buoyant, far more energetic, and very, very lively with the audience. He would interact. Rafi Sahab, once in front of the microphone, would become a lion. And his voice would roar all over the place. There's this very, very interesting story about, he used to lend his voice to a lot of playback singers, lots and lots of them, but one person for whom he sang many, many, many songs was the great actor Shammi Kapoor. It once happened that Shammi Kapoor was traveling abroad and had to stay on an extended trip because of shooting commitments. In the meanwhile, music directors Shankar and Jaikishan had to record some songs so that they get it ready for the movie. Because then you do the dubbing and things like that. So they called Rafi Sahab and got this song recorded. The song was recorded. Shami Kapoor came back. He was a fairly egoistical person. And he was known to throw his weight around, and he had a lot of weight to throw. So Shami Kapoor said, मैंने सुना ये गाना रिकॉर्ड हो गया? जी हाँ कर दिया. वो कैसे किया? मैं तो यहाँ था नहीं और मैं तो हर गाने के रिकॉर्डिंग में आता हूँ. आपने कैसे ये गाना रिकॉर्ड किया? से नहीं, रफ़ी साहब ने अच्छा ठीक है, रफ़ी साहब ने गाया होगा, सुनाओ. They played the song. He was astonished. Says, you know, the voice going up and down and the kind of modulation and the way when you hear a Shami Kapoor song, you realize that Rafi Saab must have thrown caution to the winds and not bothered about who says what. He was not singing a bhajan. He was singing a very romantic, exuberant, boisterous, absolutely noisy song. Shami Kapoor summoned Rafi Saab and asked him, ये आपने रफ़ी साहब कैसे किया ये? Rafi Saab, not a man of great words, suddenly opened up and he said in Punjabi, because they used to speak to each other in Punjabi, oh लाले, मैनू लगा शम्मी गा रहा है तो शम्मी इस तरह करेगा, शम्मी इस तरह करेगा, तल्ले डिग पाएगा, गर्दन हिलाएगा, ये करेगा, वो करेगा. बस मैं वही सोचते सोचते गा दिया. तेरे को अच्छा नहीं लगा? शम्मी कपूर hugged him and said, सर मुझे लगा शम्मी कपूर गा रहा है. How did this happen? The power of imagination. You have a singer in contemporary times who is so forgetful, who needs to keep reminding himself that this is my name. In the middle of every song, the guy says, yo, yo, honey singer. Rafi Saab never said in the middle of a song, मैं मोहम्मद रफ़ी गाना गा रहा हूँ, you know. Why? He was very clear. He just came and said, कौन गाना गा रहा है? First of all, you needed to strain your ears to listen to Rafi Saab. कौन गाना गा रहा है? तो शम्मी गा रहा है. Okay. That's it. And you listen to a Rajesh Khanna song or a Shashi Kapoor song or a Dev Anand song, and you don't have to see the screen. As a little boy, I could imagine, ये तो यही गा रहे होंगे. Why? Because this man, in both these places, there was an empty space kept only for, what am I supposed to be doing? People meditate, no? There is this man on television, the bearded man, who says, अब आप आंख बंद कीजिए और ध्यान से मुझे देखिए. No, first of all, how do you do that? He asks you to make your stomach move like a locomotive. And he calls it some whatever bati or whatever. I only know dal bati. But one thing that comes out very clearly is people meditate. I meditate. I meditate from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Put me into a training room, and I don't care whether it is Nitin Karnik or Kapil Malhotra. If the guy isn't focused, I make him focus. I'm there. The mobile can ring, someone can ring a bell. Do this kind of meditation, you will feel much happier. Do deep work. Get into your work so deep, using all your imagination, that you don't need to look at anything else. The last story, again imagination. The only regret with which I will live and die, again is, I have had no regrets in my career. I'm very happy with what's happened to me in life, with my family, with everybody else. But the only regret I have is I could probably, never personally meet and touch the feet of Mohammad Rafi Sahab. He passed away many, many years back. I used to listen to him. I used to be a fan of his. I had a lot of recordings of his. But sometime in the year 2009, for almost 30 days, Rafi Sahab would come in my dream. Because before going to sleep, I would be listening to some song of his, and I would always ask, how come I didn't meet you? How come I never got to meet you? How come I never got to touch your hand? How come I never got to talk to you? I would always ask myself this question. The only regret. 30 days at a stretch, almost 30 days, he would appear in my dreams, and the way he always looked to people, smiling, calm, very relaxed, almost a divine kind of an image, and go away. 26 days, 27 days, 28 days, maybe 29 days, and I had the guts in my dream to ask him, Rafi Saab, why do you come and you don't even talk? And he said, nahi, aap likhiye. And he disappeared. And after that, he stopped coming in my dream. One day, 2 days. I wrote something out of my heart on the 30th of July, 2009, and without a care in the world, full of guts, I sent that article to a website called www.mohammedrafi.com. On his death anniversary, 31st July 2009, they published this article, which was called Mohammad Rafi Tu Bahut Yaad Aaya. After that, ladies and gentlemen, 24th December, which is his birthday, and 31st July, which is his Punya Tithi, not a single day has gone that my tribute to Rafi Saab hasn't got published on mohammedrafi.com. I'm known as an author. Ma'am read out that I've written so many books. I never wrote these books before. The first thing that I wrote in my life was this article for Rafi Saab. That was 2009. It was 2010 when Time is Money was released at AMA. 2012 when Beyond the Uncharted Landscape was written for young students. And 2014 when Discovering the Joy of Selling was written. 2015 when Staying Inspired was written, the biography of an Indian CEO. What I want to tell you is, it is imagination that made the first piece of writing from my, I have never imagined that I would be a writer. Imagination. Thinking about someone, dreaming about someone, and making the dream happen. The last thing that I want to share with you is a slightly uncomfortable note. Over the last 3.5 months, we have been going through a crisis at home, which may also probably be telling a bit on my health or at home. My wife was afflicted with a very rare viral fever, and which is apparently prevalent only in Mexico and Latin American countries, called Guillain-Barré syndrome. I don't know how many of you have heard of it, but it left her within a couple of hours. In the morning when I was leaving for a training program, she was doing her yoga. She's a yoga enthusiast, and she's a Bharatanatyam and Kuchipudi dancer. She was doing her steps, and I waved to her, and since she was busy, I said, okay, let me carry on. So I left. When I came back in the afternoon, I was supposed to have lunch with her. She said, I haven't made lunch. I'm finding it a little uncomfortable. Within 2 hours, we discovered that there is something wrong. Within 3 days, she was hospitalized. She was in hospital for a good 15 days, undergoing one of the most horrific treatments, just one step short of what is called dialysis. And she came back, and between April and now, July, she's just about able to walk within home with the help of a walker. But between June and July, 3 things have happened. She's abandoned the walker to walk at home. She walks a little unsteadily but quite confidently. Her physiotherapist comes every day. For the last 1 week, my wife is teaching her physiotherapist yoga. And this evening, as I was leaving for AMA, she said, "Chalo na, gate tak chhodne aati hu." I said, "Walker? Which Walker?" I was thinking of Max Walker, the fast bowler from Australia. I mean, the point I'm trying to make is imagination. And then she told me, "You've been traveling a lot the last 2-3 weeks because I've allowed you to travel now. Earlier, I wasn't traveling much. I was staying in Ahmedabad with all my programs." She said, "After you left, I realized one thing. I can make it happen." So one day I sat on the floor and I said, "I'll see how I get up." And I ended up doing all those floor-based yogasanas. Ladies and gentlemen, anything is possible if you let your imagination fly. Anything is possible if you do not allow that imagination to be adulterated by negative thoughts that pull you down. I wish you a very imaginative weekend and an even more imaginative life. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Achal Rangaswamy ji, for sharing your valuable insights, for making us realize that it all begins with a thought in the mind. So dream big and work more for those dreams, for making us realize that a positive mind leads to positive vibes and leads to a positive life. So it's more of the filth inside our minds rather than the filth outside. And last but not the least, for motivating us to live young and to always keep the child inside us alive. And thank you all, you cheerful audience. You have been such amazing this evening. And please join me in a big round of applause.
Thank you. Thanks very much.